what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to the Winning Drive, the prime time edition. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by the prodigy, lifetime Longhorn CJ Vogel. Coach is going to be out today. He's just feeling a little bit under the weather, but he's going to be back with us, of course. So everything's all right. But we got just a two-man team today. Matthew behind the scenes, twisting and tweaking dials. So we have a kind of a truncated edition of the Winning Drive. So if you got questions, you got comments, throw them out there as quickly as you can. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. Just throw out a super chat and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Of course, we'll be joined by Stevie Lee coming up here. Lifetime Longhorn, my former teammate momentarily. He joins us every Monday, courtesy of our friends at Hard Grove Roofing. We'll get into that. My man CJ Vogel was on the ground at the media availability today for Texas. And look for some fireworks, CJ. Some fireworks from the media availability today from Sark.
Yeah, some headlines. That's for sure that was coming out of today, Rod. Sark asked, of course, would he give up play calling duties? Did he ever consider benching Arch Manning? Look, there are a lot of questions right now about this Texas offense, and we got some answers from Sark, and I think moving forward, the big question is, will it ever look functional again? And moving forward, look. It's going to be a week-by-week kind of answer that we get, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, this Texas offense, this is as bad as we've seen it in the Sark era. I mean, 2021, when he first came in, you were pretty bad. You were bereft of talent, but you had, Bijan. At least you had an identity. At least in 2021, when he first came in, because you had Bijan and Rojo. So Bijan was the identity. Put some Bijan on it with a side of Rojo, and you were all good. This offense has no identity. You're more than halfway through the season. And not only do they not have an identity, but they're just at this point a bad offense compared to their peers in college football. We can say that, we can say, oh, man, they're young, they're inexperienced. All those things can be true, but they're also bad. It's a bad offense, guys. It's just I'll give you the numbers, and they're ugly, but they can win ugly. That's the good news. The bad news is this offense is bad. They're just not a good offense. They'll have their moments and they'll flash like they did in Oklahoma, but they can't put it together consistently throughout 4 quarters. No. They just don't. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams size, Cardi B size, Megan Thee Stallion size, but is that they in the other 2 phases, they have a chance to be among the best in college football. And I saw your tweet, CJ, about Ryan Niblett. And it's crazy that now Brian Niblett can give us so much hope and optimism as a fan base, but it is true. He is part of the reason your special teams could be among the best in college football, your defense too. So ain't no need to panic that you can't win some of these games, but you do have to figure out how your offense can become less of a liability. I guess that's the best way to put it.
And credit to Ryan Niblett because he's responsible for 17 of your last 20 points, getting you into field goal range, obviously getting you to the 5, and obviously the touchdown against Oklahoma. Now, is that sustainable? My question is probably not, and that's unfortunate for Ryan Niblett. But if I'm an opposing special teams coach, I'm looking at my punter saying, dude, just kick it out of bounds. I'll take a 45-yard punt, kick it out of bounds, make Texas go 50 yards because they can't. They cannot do it. And it's frustrating. And you mentioned it, Rod. This is a team right now that has a lot of good things going, just none of them on the offensive side. And that's why it's so frustrating because you see the defense have yet another stellar performance. I know they almost allowed 400 yards, but I don't care. You allowed 13 points in a game in which you had probably 80 or 85, 90 snaps that you were on the field for. That's exhausting. That is you against the world with a kicker, a punter, and a return man. That's about it. And so I understand the frustrations. I understand the questions to Sark today about why, play calling might be up in the air. But I'm here to tell you, Rod, I don't think it matters who the play caller is. Not with this offensive line, not with a quarterback that's basically a coin flip to hit an open route 10 feet in front of him. It just doesn't shake out. Now, there are some actual questions that I'd like to be asking a little bit later, maybe closer towards the offseason, in regards to, did you think you and your staff assembled a team that could sustain an injury and push through? Because right now, the clear answer to that is no. And I think, Rod, we've all come to the idea that the answer to, will Texas take a portal offensive lineman at any point in the future, is an immediate yes, because there's no way Texas can roll into 2026, again, with an offensive line looking like this.
Yeah, the Longhorn fan base won't allow as much grace as they are now because there's no question they miscalculated something offensively, whether it be just the evaluations on the O-line, the development or rate of development of one Arch Manning, the running game, the identity of the running. I'm not sure exactly where this disconnect is because there's so many kind of failing parts and elements to it that I don't know if you can point to just one thing. It would be great if it was just one thing. If it was just the O-line and that was it, I think at least you could, there's some ways to coach around it. It's not just the O-line. Some of it is, a lot of it is, I think most of it, the O-line. But then Arch, you're right. Sometimes Arch, I got in my notes, there was 3 times he just missed open guys. I mean, wide open. I'm talking about where the best high school quarterback in your region would hit that guy and just missed him. Just missed him. My man just schemed open beautifully. He just misses a guy. And those are crucial downs. Sometimes those are third downs. Those are crucial downs, right? To extend drives. And offensive line, as we know, they at times can fail pass protection and run blocking. Then there are times, even Sark talked about it, where the receivers aren't getting separation. And there are times, honestly, where Sark just calls his play calling is cringeworthy. I mean, that you talk, I think you tweeted it out about it. The flea flicker on the first drive of the game, that's cringeworthy stuff. That's like, ugh.
Yeah.
That Texas or what the Texas State? What are we going? Who is that?
That was before we knew that the offense was going to be that bad. They had just rattled off an 8-yard run with Arch. They had a 6-yard run with Trey Wisner earlier, and then you stall the drive, you come back out, and you didn't have anything close to that the rest of the day.
Yeah. So it's not just one thing. It is an amalgamation, unfortunately. All right. So before we I know we got super chats. Let's bring on Stevie Lee before we dive deep into it and get his thoughts, and then we'll go straight to super chats and questions. We'll just devote the whole show to show of the people, for the people, and by the people. Whatever you guys want to talk about, and then we'll also play that Sark cut. We'll do that when Stevie comes on. But let's bring in Stevie Lee, my former teammate, lifetime Longhorn, and beloved member of the OTF community. Stevie Lee, how was your weekend, brother? How was it?
It was good. Still trying to figure things out, though, man. I don't know how to talk about this team right now.
How the offense?
How to talk about the offense? Well,
yes.
The talking points from the team is this is a team sport, and
Steve, there you go. That's real, though. That's real.
Man, hey, listen. We must have hired somebody from Fox News and MSNBC because the way they spinning this thing, they're spinning and spinning like it was. And like what they're telling us is not to believe our lying eyes is what they're doing. So
yes,
yes,
that's kind of where Sark is at now too. Okay, so first of all, I want to play this Sark audio because he was asked a very matter of fact question about whether if the offense is in such disarray would he consider giving up play calling. And I think Matthew has the response from Sark here. I want to get, obviously CJ was there, and I'm sure by now you've probably seen the quote virally somewhere, Stevie, but here it is for the folks who haven't seen. This is what Sark responded to when he was asked would he consider giving up play calling on offense.
I got hired. I was a really good offensive coordinator, so I believe in what we're able to do. Every year we have to continually evolve, and there's years we're going to be better on offense than we are on defense. There's going to be years we're better on defense than we are on offense, but it's like if I was the best outside sales guy and then I had a startup company, surely I'm going to go to the sales meetings if I'm trying to sell something, right? And so if that's one of your strengths, I'm always going to tap into the strength that I have. And I think, being a play caller on offense is one of my strengths. Some may disagree. That's okay.
All right. So at least a lot of folks have the answer to the question. I wasn't there yet. I will say that he should give up play calling. I have talked to a lot of Longhorn fans and folks behind the scenes are like, yeah, I think he might need to consider it. I think anything is worth considering if it can make the program better. And we've seen that at other programs around the country. But unless you can guarantee you'll find someone as good, if not better than you, that's the conundrum. Like, you got to make sure you can find somebody better.
Yeah.
You can't just hire somebody. They got to be better than Sark. right? And I know some people are like, what do you mean? That should be easy considering what they're looking at. But we're talking about a resume here that Sark has over a time period where he's kind of earned that reputation. Who else could you hire that also would have that kind of legitimacy and clout?
Right.
If someone said, is he good? Yeah, you get what I'm saying. So that's why I think it would, if you do hire, it's got to be a hell of a splash for you to bring in. I mean, Ryan Day brought in Chip Kelly, and that changed things like that. But that Chip Kelly is renowned for his offensive.
He's got skins on the wall. He's a made man in play calling, and Rod, to the point that I think we're trying to convey this evening is Sark doesn't have anybody in this office right now that can go in there and call plays to the level in which he can. AJ Milwaukee's never done it. Kyle Flood hasn't done it since Rutgers, in which he was immediately fired right after, right? So you look at what other options you possibly could have, and I know folks are going to point at Neil Brown as well, who Texas brought in. Well, to do that, you're going to have to make a move to get him into a coaching position to wear a headset. Right now, he's not able to wear a headset as a special assistant to the head coach. You don't have another option. So it is Sark for this year. Now, after the year, the question probably should get a little bit louder in regards to what changes Sark needs to make on this staff. Because, again, there are issues with this Texas offense that have lingered for multiple years now, in which you've had good players, right? You've sent guys to the league year in and year out. So I won't go on too much further, but you don't really have another option this year for a play caller. But, Stevie, that's why we're having the conversation, because it's been that bad. And moving forward is the solution, to go out there and find another guy to call the plays and to kind of take a step back if you're Steve Sarkeesian. What do you think?
I don't know, man. That's a great question. I think that we can't be short-sighted or prisoners of the moment, because 2 years ago we were good, right? And we were good with a decent quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, it's hard for me to say let's give him some grace, because this past weekend was not good at all.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know, man. It was. I'm sorry, I got something going on in the house. I'm trying to listen. Anyway, then my dogs are getting into something out there. But anyway, it was just not good this weekend. But we were good in the past, so I'll give them a little grace. But I understand when people are asking, should we get another play caller in there? I don't know if we're there yet. I don't think we do that yet. There's some changes that need to make, and there's some maturing on the player side that needs to happen. That's all.
I do agree with that. I think inexperience is part of this we don't talk enough about on offense. The inexperience, lack of continuity and chemistry on the O-line, lack of chemistry with the receivers and Arch, I think is part of that too. Arch overall, right? And Arch, he's erratic, right? Sometimes you see the flashes of brilliance, and then you see the lows as well. Even Stevie's dogs think the offense sucks. They're trying to get in on it. I love that. So I don't think we talk enough about the inexperience, and I don't think we talk about how Sark. I think Sark's still trying to figure out his personnel. I mean, that's pretty obvious too. That Sark doesn't really know his personnel that well either. He doesn't know what they do. He doesn't know how to He doesn't know how to settle Arch and get Arch into a groove when Arch is erratic and off. He doesn't. He knew how to do. He knew how to get Quinn in the groove. He knew. I'll get Quinn in the rhythm. He doesn't really know how to do that with Arch just yet. But here's the thing. I was watching that Kentucky game again. For the third time I've watched it.
Sorry about that.
No, man. I came to this conclusion. I told Bobby this morning. That Cutter Boley game plan, he had 39 pass attempts. And I believe only 8 of them were past 10 yards, guys. That should be the Arch game plan. The Kentucky game plan, they had 10 targets to tight ends. It was like 7 of 10 to their tight ends. Texas should use their tight ends the way that Kentucky was using their tight ends. The Cutter Boley game plan, Stevie Lee, with only 8 pass attempts past 10 yards. And I know that sounds a little crazy, but it kept him in rhythm. He actually set a record, I believe, for Kentucky. I'll make sure I give the young man credit here. Yeah, there's actually, he ended up setting a record for completion percentage, 79% completion percentage for a freshman quarterback in a single game for Kentucky. But the game plan was built that way. Arch, that game plan, Sark should have used that game plan for Arch, because that's what Kentucky did to Texas is what Texas needs to do to other teams, because they were leaning kind of on their defense to win the game for them. And they were just playing ball control. The longest play of the game was 22 yards in overtime, I believe. They were just dinking and dunking.
Yeah, that's true.
Dinking and dunking.
The other thing that I don't know, man. I think sometimes when you come off a big win like we did in Dallas, and we can also let that win beat us the next week. So we were riding high going in there. I'm trying to be positive, guys. I'm a positive guy, right?
Sure.
So we were riding high going into Kentucky, and then Kentucky was fired up as their homecoming, right? So there's some factors in there, but I think you're right. And then somebody said in my household, you know her, Rod.
Yes, I do.
Why don't we just put Niblett on offense? Like, he's the spark.
They tried.
He's the spark in the last week, but get him the ball. Figure out a way to get him the ball. You know. So I don't know. This is what she said. You know way more than I do. But he's been a real big spark, and he's obviously has eyes in the open field and can make people miss. So, you know, trying new things out there, that may be something that we need to try. But this offense, it got frustrating, and I understand everyone is frustrated. And then when you got somebody open, and then Arch misses the wide open receivers or tight ends, then that gets you to wondering, is he really, really that scared of getting hit and getting pressures and things like that? That's why he's missing the throws. But so I don't know, man. It's a lot going on in Arch's head. The kid is tough. He took some hits this weekend too. Like, there's one hit that he took on the shoulder and then got hit by the ground again. So it was, and he got back up, and he didn't yell or call out his offensive line. Maybe he probably should on the sideline a little bit, but he's not pointing fingers at anybody. No. But he does need some help out there.
Yeah, and maybe he should. Maybe someone needs to get in the face of those guys and say, "You're not doing your job." I know. You know, there wasn't grass up there in Lexington, but his jersey wasn't going to be white anymore. It was going to be pretty dark green. So,
red. He had blood. He was bleeding
all the way down his arm again. He walked into the press conference room today with a big, what looked like Band-Aid covered up by a wrap on his leg as well. So this kid beat to hell, and it's been multiple weeks in a row where it's been like this. So, and look, I don't want to say everybody on that offensive line has been bad. DJ Campbell's actually been a pleasant surprise. He's played his best football over the last 3 weeks than he's played in his entire career. The problem is when you have one leak, it causes another leak, and then another leak on top of that, and then it's exploded and your room is flooded, right? So for Sark, and this is where I kind of come to a crossroads, or where I think Sark is at a crossroads. Because when you're a play caller, you get in your head a little bit. This is why I'm here. And for folks that probably heard his answer today, you're probably thinking, sounds like a guy that's pretty confident in himself, right? Maybe a little arrogant. You have to be, right? Mm-hmm. You're playing chess against other grown men using pawns on the field to move the football, score points, and win football games. You have to outthink coaches in that way. But when you're Sark right now and you don't have many pieces that can take up yards or create plays, you got to find ways. And Texas did exactly that against Oklahoma. But it wasn't the way that I think Sarkeesian wanted to win a football game, right? There was no razzle, no dazzle, no trick plays, no splashy plays. He doesn't like the inch by inch approach down the field, but that's what you have to do with this team now. 4.2 yards per attempt, or average yards per target downfield is where Arch was against Oklahoma. That ranked 115th out of 119 quarterbacks in week 7. That's inching down the field, exactly what we're talking about. Exactly the way that Kentucky was able to do that against Texas to the tune of 31 to 39 completions. Mm-hmm. That's not what Sark wants. And he reverted very quickly back to, let's try hucking it down the field. It worked. Hey, you got a 15-yard pass interference against Ryan Wingo, right? Hey, that's great. But that's the only time that there was any sort of pocket, any sort of positive play throwing the ball down the field, you really do have to take what fans slandered Quinn for a year ago, and it's the checkdowns. It's the running backs out of the backfield. Let these guys create with the ball in their hands after the catch. And my big thing now, and I'll end this rant now, I don't know if Sark has it in him to throw away what he wants to have happen versus what needs to have happen. And that's the offense basically looking completely different than any other Sark offense that he's ever had before.
Yeah, he's talking about the man in the mirror, but that's the man in the mirror moment you're talking about. Stevie, let's go over to the defense before we let you go and talk about the defense a little bit. What are your thoughts about how the defense showed up versus Kentucky? It was a bend but don't break philosophy. They gave up yards, but showed up in the clutch when they needed to.
Man, I love the goal line stands in overtime. That was really, really fun to watch. And then, but then I turn around, I was like, wait, we got to score though. So but that was really fun to watch. I mean, and Kentucky had to go for it. They were at home and at Texas, go for it on fourth down. My defensive tackles, they played well this weekend. The whole defense really stepped up for being on the field that many plays. I can't remember how many plays they were out
80,
there.
Like 80 plus. I forget.
89.
89.
Yeah, and then for all those questions of media availability was being asked about the offense, and then the defense coming in there to correct and save them. I don't know if y'all seen those Colin Simmons clips and things like that. That's why I said it's a spin job. So, but the defense really helped us in the special teams. We can't have another game like that. That just can't happen, man. So hopefully we are getting into. They're in the building right now, treating this game like a loss because as a former player, I think I can say this, Rod. You can say this too, man. We lost that game. On paper, we won, but we really lost that game. So, and so hopefully they're in that building, walking around there like they lost and fired up to go back out and put a better showing up in Stark. Is it Stark Vegas? What they call it. And their cowbells are going to be going and everything. So to hurry up and quiet that is put some points on the board and make their offense not be able to do anything. So we need a good showing this week for morale, just for morale of the team, man.
Oh, great.
Got to do something, you know.
No, I will say that it is somewhat thrilling because I mean you can win every game and you can lose every game left on the schedule. You have no idea as a Longhorn fan now. You have you used to be like, hey, we good, we were safe here. Like, nope, you have no idea week to week. You could win every game left. You could lose that game or you could win that game. You have no idea.
The volatility is crazy.
I want to just put that out there. That was the feeling of, golly, I don't even want to say it, but that was the feeling of the end of the Herman era. That was the feeling at the end of the Strong era. That was the feelings that we all had around here is when you're losing games that you're supposed to win. That was the feeling. And I hate saying that right now out loud because this man and this coaching staff has taken us to very high accolades in this game. Yeah. But as you do remember, those were the talks that we had towards those eras.
Oh, I remember. Tim Herman, losing to Maryland and then beating Georgia. Like, that's
losing to Florida and then beating OU. Like what?
You know what I mean? Like that's so I get you, but that's how it feels right now. I'm not so it's a great point there, though, Steve. Good point. All right, we won't keep you too much.
Stevie, real quick before you go, I got one more question for you. We heard a lot from the players today saying that was a culture win in Lexington. Culture win. It took everybody. They all did their part. They came away with the win. Are you buying that? Or are you kind of hearing that's a couple on the verge of divorce saying we're still happy together?
Yeah, we're still happy together. We're in counseling right now.
I ask because, defenses have to get frustrated with offenses that are on the field for 15 minutes.
100% defenses get frustrated, man. No one wants to go out there and play 80-plus plays as a defensive player, man. So they have really good media training over there. John Bianco is doing a fantastic job. But the defense they're tired and want to sit on the bench for a while and let the offense control the game. I mean, internally, I haven't seen it, but internally, you gotta be like, hey, man, hey, Mr. Number One Heisman preseason, let's get something going. You got, and you can do it in a respectful teammate way, but you got to motivate your offense some kind of way because this is not sustainable. It's not to win games. You can't rely on the defense to win the games. We don't have the ball. We're trying to stop the ball. We don't have the ball. We need to put points on the board, right? So you are talking to your offense behind closed doors and within the locker room. It's like, hey, man, something's got to give. Something's got to give. So,
yeah, no doubt. All right, good stuff, Stevie. And Stevie joins us courtesy of our friends over at Hardgrove Roofing, hardgroveroofing.com. Reach out to them today. Thank you very much, Matthew, for putting that up. 512-645-3202. Know who's on your roof with our friends at Hardgrove Roofing, with offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. But they are the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. Have great partnerships with lifetime Longhorns like my man Stevie Lee, Mason Shipley as well. So check out my friends over at hardgroveroofing.com. And don't try to do it yourself, folks. Whether you need a roof inspection or whether you need a new roof, whether you've had severe weather in your area, leave it to the professionals at Hardgrove Roofing. It won't be Stevie either. Stevie ain't going up there, but he'll give you. He'll let the people know, the good folks at Hardgrove Roofing. But he ain't going up there either.
You give me a call, and I'll call somebody, and they'll call you right back. I ain't getting up there. And shout out to Mason Shipley, man. That guy put that ball on the ground and put it through the air, man. It was fantastic to watch. He's the NIL partner for Hardgrove Roofing,
right?
And he said he'll go put one on the roof and kick it off the roof and put it through the uprights. But we just need him to keep doing what he's doing, man. So, man, good talking to you guys. Hook 'em.
All right. Thank you, Stevie.
Thanks, Stevie.
Brother. That's lifetime Longhorn, my former teammate, Stevie Lee. And he's right. Mason Shipley actually won Special Teams Player of the Week in the SEC. Well deserved for Mason Shipley. He did ball out. But some other achievements, I should say, or accolades. Colin Simmons was SEC co-defensive lineman of the week as well. And
2 weeks in a row.
He is, honestly, he's starting to heat up now. He started slow, but now Colin Simmons is starting to heat up a little bit. You can tell he's starting to feel it. And if he continues on this pace, he'll get to a crazy number. Even with the slow start, he'll get to a crazy sack number. Yeah,
he's top 10 in the country right now, 7 sacks. Who would have thought after the first 5 games that this is where he'd be? But 5.5 in the last 2 games, and I'm looking around saying, Rod,
hey,
it sure is a good thing that he's woken up, because Texas has needed every bit of those yards.
Now you're right. I mean, it's crazy because I say I remember literally saying we were having a conversation about there was a stat sheet that he didn't even make it on the stat sheet, like he was that much of a non-factor. And now you see him just, and I'll give props to Brian too. Brian Robertson always says, he said, no, man, it comes, he said, all that stuff kind of comes in waves. He said it last year too. And last year, remember they started slow in sacks. Last year, he was like, nah, man, trust me, once they start, he said there's a snowball effect to getting sacks like that. The man knows what he's talking about. The reason he was in the league for 10 plus years. So, all right, let's get to some of these super chats. We'll devote the rest of the show to you guys and hit super chats, and then we'll end things. So let's start it right now. At the top, arched _ horns, said, surely this was rock bottom for the offense, right? My optimism says it was so bad that Sark makes some drastic changes. Let's talk about how bad it is. I got a couple of numbers for you, arched _ horns. I don't need to share these, but we're going to just put everything into perspective, right? Exactly. To give us context. So Texas ranks 74th in yards per play, 88th in points per drive, 101st in success rate, 80th in rushing, 110th in passing success rate. They're 116th in the percentage of plays gaining 0 or negative yards, and 46, almost 47% of the pass attempts this season. They've been basically as well or better off just spiking the football into the ground. They ranked 120th in that basically that category. Yes, and yes, the game versus Kentucky was a low for Sark in terms of a total yardage, I believe, in output. It's Rod said, if I'm gonna suffer, so is everybody else. Yeah, I gotta look this. This is my job to look up this stuff, so I want y'all to know the numbers. What are your thoughts, though? I mean, Arch_Horn says his optimism says it was so bad that Sark now will have to make changes. Didn't he mention that? He said basically next week we're all gonna notice a different offense. Didn't he say that basically?
He did, and you know that. Look, you have to. It can't get worse, right? You know, what do you do when you're at the very bottom? You got to pull yourself up somehow, and that starts by making changes. So for Sark, yeah, you absolutely have to make changes. The big question is, I don't know what changes are available to you, right? Otherwise, I think we would have seen these changes before, you know, things got this bad. You know, you don't have any other options on the offensive line. Maybe Cole Hudson comes back and provides that spark to allow you to run outside zone. And Rod, I thought there were more pulling guards and, you know, more power schemes to this region than what we saw against Oklahoma. And maybe that's an adjustment we go back to, is seeing Sark use that outside zone scheme. So it's interesting, but right now I kind of scratch my head thinking, what is it that Sark could deploy that we haven't seen yet? My only thing is just saying, hey Arch, I know you've been hit a lot, but here's 15 rush attempts because we need 3 yards a pop basically, and you're the only thing that can get us that level.
Yeah, that's a good point though. I wonder what the adjustment's going to be. Like I said, just take the Kentucky game plan. It actually was a good game plan against a good defense, and not that every week you're going to face a good defense. Like Mississippi State's defense is not elite or anything, but your offense is so bad, you make every defense look like they're one of the best defenses in the SEC. So you need more layups in the offense. Like that's basically, you need more layups and you need more easy completions for your quarterback and easy yards, whether it be yards after the catch for your receivers, whether they be easy completions for your quarterback, easy blocks for your O lineman. You need to go back to the most remedial, rudimentary stuff that works, because these guys can't handle the complexity of your offense. That's pretty obvious. Like we're more than a half of the season into this, and you know, I looked at. We'll get into this later, but I looked at everything that works for the offense. I'm trying to like track it. What concepts have worked every week, week to week, and I do have a list of passing concepts that work and run concepts. Basically, the way I look at it is runs over 5 yards is a successful run. A pass play over 10 yards is successful.
Yeah,
that's the basics of it. And I've been trying to track that and seeing if Sark leans on those concepts or not. And I got some stats for you, but we'll get into that later. All right, let's hit the next question. Chris, my man CB. I never call you Chris. I don't know why I did that. He says he's Coach Steven until he shows otherwise. Coach Steven, for those who don't know, I know he's Sark for some of y'all, but when he's performing like this, when the Texas offense is this bad, I call him Coach Steven, because he doesn't deserve the cool nickname Coach Sark. It is his much, I would say, much worse alter ego in terms of play calling. And that's the Sark that used to like to chunk it deep with just, no reason or rationale whatsoever. That's the guy that, instead of taking a point sometimes, he's going to go for the 4th down. When you don't like a decision he made, he's Coach Steven. And he's Coach Steven for the rest of this week until I see a game plan I like. He's going to be Coach Steven. So thank you, CB, for reminding me. He'll be Coach Steven for the rest of the week. That's my way of being able to give him some grace, because I think there's parts of Sark's play calling that I love, that I think is fantastic. There are other parts of it, as we've talked about more this week, that are frankly stupefying, like just dumbfounding. All right, thank you, CB, for that super chat. All right, Taylor with a super chat here. We appreciate it. Says this O-line goes against our D-line every day. Are they this bad in practice? Coaches just slap their knee and say, close enough. Let's go with it.
You'd think it would be one of those instances of, what is it, iron sharpening iron. I just don't think that it is. And yeah, there were worries in fall camp. The few scrimmages that we heard a bit about, I was told essentially Texas don't expect to run the football, and I felt like I conveyed that a little bit But after seeing it against Ohio State, I said, you know what? Maybe they're going to find some
That's true
movement. And I think I went away from that. But that's on me because, and I still can't really explain that Ohio State game, really.
Well, Cedric Baxter was healthy. You had Baxter and Weissner. So how many games have you had both Baxter and Weissner?
That's the one.
Right? That's a big part of it. And we know Sark with months to prepare for an opponent. There's also a different level of play as we've seen with that type of preparation. So I think the Cedric Baxter factor is probably the biggest factor, though. No doubt. And there was familiarity. You had played, not all of them, but you had played them, within the last, 6 months or something, whatever that was. Yeah. So it could have been some of that. But I'm with you. I think we all, we were talking about whether the run game would be a strength.
Yeah.
We're like,
you just ran for 160 on Ohio State. Okay, you can lean on this. And
on the road, man. I was like, yeah, but talk about being wrong. Yeah. All right. Let's go to Rocky P with the super chat. Thank you, Rocky P. Say that, CJ. How far behind is Kibble that they won't give him some type of run at guard? Also, that Kojo injury seems like a lot bigger deal now. Amen, Rocky P. Amen. We do not talk about that Kojo injury enough now. You're damn right. Yep.
Yeah, the Kojo injury is interesting because, well, your tackles have remained healthy. They haven't played particularly great, but it would have given you another option at least to spin into that left guard spot.
Yep.
The thing with Kibble, and I think Texas likes Kibble, the interesting part of that is, does he have the necessary size and prereqs that Texas wants, right? They went with a 345-pound Connor Stroh and immediately placed him with a 340-pound Nick Brooks. And so when we talk about big humans, that's kind of where I lean on Kyle Flood and Steve Sarkeesian deciding, hey, if these guys can't move anybody, at least they can lean on them and say, hey, they're 340 pounds. That's tough to displace backward. Now, I do think there's something to Kibble with his arm length that would be of value.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, I don't know where he stands with Texas, because if they truly saw him as an option this year, he would have seen the field in some point. So my thinking is he's still pretty far behind.
Yeah, because at this point, they definitely would have, if he was even a viable option, he would have gotten a shot. They're trying to exhaust all their options there, especially on the offensive line. So that, yeah, I just think the offensive line guys at this point, in Arch, the most pressured quarterback in the SEC.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. He's among, I believe the stat from the game was at the time, he was one of the most top 10 pressured quarterbacks in all of college football. So it's not all Arch, but up front, they got some real issues, some leaky blocking up front. All right. Thank you for the super chat. How about this one from Jeremy? Says, Rob, if the same team shows up this Saturday that showed up in Kentucky, we will get beat. And it's time to hit the panic button. Oh, thank you, Jeremy. We hit the panic button after the Florida game. We just went on. Some people hit it. I will just give some of y'all credit. And this is all about the offense specifically, because defense and special teams, they've been fantastic. But we did hit the panic button about the offense officially after the Florida game. I'll give some of y'all credit. Y'all were hitting it like after the UTEP game. So y'all were like, oh, hell no. We panic button. Y'all hit it quick. And I was like, nah, I'm going to hold off on the panic button. No, we hit for the offense. Yeah. Full fire, full 5 fire alarm. We panic button. We did that a while ago. So I would say this is why I freaked out, though. I'll give you one little stat here, because I looked at like the most successful plays, concepts from Texas, and I always want Sark to play the hits, right? Lean on what works for you. So I went back and looked at like the first 33 plays of the Kentucky game, and just so you know, here are the best 5 passing concepts from Texas. The flood concepts, targets to bunch, screens, switch concepts and routes, and your double moves are really popular. Like they work really well for Texas passing wise. In the first 33 plays, basically takes you like a little bit into the second half of the game against Kentucky. He ran a ton of flood. He ran 7 flood concepts. He ran 3 screens. Your most popular, or at least your most successful run concept is the outside zone, followed by the counter. You ran 4 outside zones, ran 3 counters. Your third most successful run concept is probably the inside power, the duo dive. Ran that 3 times. He did actually lean on the concepts that worked. They just didn't work.
They just didn't work.
They just did. Like he actually did the stuff that has worked throughout the season. Their most successful play concepts. He actually, in my opinion, leaned on them heavily versus Kentucky, and they were well prepared for them. So I guess my next advice, at least my next piece of advice for Sark would be: you have to make everything look different. You have to dress it up different. You have to combine a lot of these core concepts together. But I can't really fault him because in that game, he tried a lot of the stuff that I had been saying, like, hey, do this more. Except for probably targets to bunch. There were only 5 of them throughout the game. But other than that, Sark tried to play the hits. The hits just, they weren't banging at the time.
And that's where I think, when one thing doesn't go right, it dominoes into just about everything else. And you mentioned on, second watch, Rod, you were probably 4 completions away from an additional 100 yards passing.
Yeah.
And that's where the underneath crosser to Wingo, you had a slant route to Emmett Mosley on third down, where if he catches that in stride, he has one guy to miss, and it might go for 70.
Gone.
So everything just piles up, and then it's what actually works, and the answer right now is nothing.
That's unfortunate. As I said, that depressed me when I was like, and I've been saying, like, Sark, play the hits. He played the hits, just didn't work.
And that's why I don't think. Look, this play calling conversation, it's at its loudest. And I understand you had 178 yards against Kentucky, the fewest of any game in the Sark era, but there were guys that were open.
Yeah,
there were concepts that looked like, and I'm sure if we get the all 22, they would be open.
Yeah,
but you didn't have time up front, and your quarterback, unfortunately, it was a coin flip of whether or not he would put a catchable ball out there.
Yeah, and everybody was saying, criticizing Sark's game plan early because he was throwing the football. I thought you should throw the football. Kentucky couldn't create any pressure.
No, they could not.
And they had one of the worst pass defenses in the SEC in the country, and they weren't creating any pressure all season long. I think Sark figured going into that game, we should be able to block Kentucky. That we're going to be able to block Kentucky, and then we'll be able to make some plays downfield. Problem was, he miscalculated. I don't think that offensive line can really block anybody. They got 3 sacks. They were all via the blitz, and that's what they dialed up. I mean,
they had 7 sacks coming into the game, Rod.
Exactly.
There's the fewest in the SEC, the fewest tackles for loss as well. They had 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks.
Yeah. So if you can't
block Oklahoma and Florida.
Yeah, if you can't block them, you can't. I said you can't block anybody in the SEC. You can't trust the pass blocking against anybody in the SEC. So that's part of why people. I know we're hard on Sark, but I understand why he went into that game figuring I can throw. They had a couple of guys out in the secondary, and they weren't creating a pass rush. Once again, a team with a bye week over for you, I think also was well prepared, just like Florida. Throw it out there as well. All right. Isaiah says here, thank you, Isaiah, for the super chat. With the way the offense is looking, if we lose another game, it will it affect recruiting? CJ?
I actually think it might go the opposite way. No, I don't think it will affect recruiting. If anything, I think it might have Texas put on its aggressiveness approach a little bit more.
Oh,
does that make sense? Because we've talked about it. Recruiting is more transactional than it's ever been before. Right?
Yeah,
relationships, they matter. Look, in Texas with Arch Manning, with number 1 class a year ago, they're in a position to still be very aggressive. Right, that window is still open.
Yeah.
Now, and I think I said after the Florida game, the biggest winner of that was Malachi Lee. Now we'll see if anything comes with that and the big time offensive line prospect out of Hawaii, but Texas knows that it has something good right now. They know that. Now, there are some clear deficiencies that they have to mask, and if they can mask that immediately, whether it's in the portal, whether it's in high school recruiting, they're going to find a way to do it, and that's by being uber aggressive.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, especially seeing what Tech is doing these days. It's like, hey, man, it's all about hitting the right number. Hi, we need players, and we have money. Do you like money? That is the pitch these days. Good point.
If yes, sign here.
All right, thank you, Isaiah, for that one. Greg here with a super chat. Thank you very much. Greg says Tom Fornelli put out an offensive success rate percentage / points per game among P4 teams against P4 teams graphic on X. It's real depressing to see how bad Texas was. Yeah, I can send this to Matthew right now, actually. But I'm sure, yes, I saw it too. It's bad.
I did too.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things I saw this morning, Rod, and I was just like, ooh.
It's ugly. Yeah, Oklahoma State has one of the worst offenses in college football, and Texas isn't right there with Oklahoma State, but you're near them in this graphic, and it's depressing. Just
Not where you want to be.
Oh, there, Matt. There it is. Yeah, look at it.
Yeah, you're along the likes of Wisconsin, Oklahoma State, and Wake Forest, and that again is just not where you want to be. I do think Oklahoma State actually is starting a wide receiver at quarterback in the upcoming weeks. So
wow, that's where you are. I know. He also put out a stat earlier about the Texas-Kentucky game. How about this? This is good. It's not a good stat, but it's interesting. How about this one? He said that basically, if you look at that EPA per snap for Texas, the EPA per play for Texas in his win over Kentucky, he said in games between Power 4 opponents, it was the 8th worst single game performance of any offense this season. And it's the only one of the 31 worst performances based on EPA per play by an offense for a team that actually won. So the 31 worst performances of EPA per play among Power 4 teams, it's the only one that won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, and again, we're being critical. Some would call that harsh. Texas did win a football game. They do have everything that is ahead of them, still ahead of them. The thing is, when you're playing like this, there's not a whole lot of reason for optimism to think that will sustain.
Agreed. All right. Let's hit one of our sponsors. Hit Von Lane really quickly before we answer some more super chats. We appreciate all you guys. Be patient with us. We appreciate it. Thank you to our friends at Von Lane. Folks, if you need to travel to any of the major cities in Texas or around this region, Von Lane is the perfect way to travel. This fall, you got places to be. Texas football at DKR. You got NFL Sundays in Houston and Dallas. We just had the Austin F1 race here this past weekend. We just had ACL not too long ago. Why waste hours at the airport or stuck behind the wheel with Von Lane? You just walk into a hotel terminal, check in within minutes, and you're on board. No TSA, no hassle. Settle into one of just 22 oversized first-class seats, stretch out, recline, and enjoy complimentary Wi-Fi snacks and drinks. And if you want a beer or a cocktail, they got you covered. Travel is open right now through December, so book today for game days, concerts, or even Thanksgiving and Christmas trips as well for the holidays. Visit vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com. Use the code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. All right, let's get back to the super chats. Billy, thank you for the super chat. Says elephant in the room. QB play, assist, and head coach's salary increase or refresh their resume. Your thoughts? QB play, assist, and head coach's salary increase. Or refresh their resume. I think quarterback play and head coach success are synonymous, in my opinion. Very few head coaches have been able to succeed without a baller at quarterback.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and sometimes they project to the next level, sometimes they don't. But if you are, give me I said very few of them that at the NFL, college, and the pro level that were able to win at a really high level and not have a dog at quarterback. So, like I said, that's one of those things. Like I always give a lot of credit to guys like Joe Gibbs in the NFL. Right? Like he winning Super Bowls without Hall of Fame quarterbacks. How many Super Bowls could you win without a Hall of Fame quarterback? You go look at all the great coaches, a lot of them had Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Like that's no coincidence. Yeah. I would give a lot of props to the ones who won Super Bowls without a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like you got to be a badass to do that in the NFL. And the same thing at college level. Like if you can win without, like remember Nick Saban was doing it for years? Nick Saban was doing it for years. Elite defense. Just a jag at QB.
And that came with an offensive line that guaranteed a Heisman level contending running back.
Boom. Exactly.
But you got to have one or the other. And right now Texas has neither, but they have a good defense. And that's,
Yeah, that's exactly right. So for Sark, and I would say this Sark's credibility is on the line though, about being a quarterback guru. Because the Quinn, people are using the Quinn example as a critique of his quarterback development, that he hasn't done a good job of it. Just throwing it out there. And now Arch, people looking at Arch saying, hey, Arch isn't developing at least at the rate that people thought he would. All right, getting back to it. Paxton with a super chat here said, it's mental for Arch and Sark in the headsets, in my opinion. Yeah. It is mental. I agree with the first part.
Definitely, yeah. This wasn't a guy that was missing these throws last year. I know it was a limited time, but he was making much better throws a year ago than he is this year, and that's a concern.
Yep. Lane, thank you, Paxton. Lane with a super chat. This is an interesting idea. Says, what do y'all think of opening up with the Quinn offense, then expanding the route tree in the second half, earn the right to get exotic? I like it, actually. It's simple, but I don't honestly, I like that because then the defense probably should adjust to the shorter, quick game, and they should start coming, a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, and then you can take your shots. Not bad.
I agree.
It's not bad. Aloha Traveler, thank you for the super chat, says, aloha, fellas. I'm going to give you a magic wand to fix this offense right after the season. What moves are you making in the portal and on the staff? Damn, that's good. Magic wand.
I think I'm spending about $10 million on the 5 best offensive linemen I can find and saying, hey, that's what we got. Go figure it out. I think Texas has proven when Kyle flooded, he's proven, he can develop a Christian Jones. He can put Hayden Connor into the NFL, right? He can sustain the level of play of a Calvin Banks to be a first-round pick. There's validity in that. Now, I think Texas walked into this season with the idea that this offensive line was more talented than it is. And when you have a defense like this, you can't leave anything for chance. And I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. Who was the number 1 ranked interior offensive lineman in the country? It was Emmanuel Pregnon, who ended up transferring from USC, took a visit to Texas, ended up at Oregon. Texas would look a little bit different if that's who was playing left guard for you right now. So, again, it goes to the pride. It goes to kind of that arrogance thing. You can't sit here and say, I trust myself or my development in my room, if very clearly they're not up to par. So I'm spending a whole bunch of money in making sure that my offensive line looks great. And look, here's the other thing, Rod, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Folks have called for the playmaking, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. I get it. Texas at tight end maybe doesn't have a Helm or a Sanders. Probably don't have the one cut and go ability of anybody up like a Jonathan Brooks or Bijan Robinson, but it certainly helps when you're allowed time to get these guys open in space.
Yeah.
And so for my take on the wide receivers and the playmakers in general, it all starts with the offensive line. There's no real idea of how talented these guys could be because there's nowhere for them to get the ball in space or nowhere to get the ball and go with space creation up front. So it all starts on the offensive line.
I agree with CJ on that one. Considering what we've watched, yeah, man, go spend $10 million on your O-line in the portal. Yep. All right. Rocky P with a super chat here. Rocky P says NIL Texas related. Not Texas related, but have to get y'all's opinion on this crazy stat I saw today. Georgia has 8 sacks all season, bottom of the SEC. Thank you, Rocky P. I will give CJ credit. We were doing a preview or something, and you brought up, and this was actually a couple weeks ago, how few sacks that Georgia had. And I was surprised at the time. So I'm not surprised by this stat, Rocky P, only because I think CJ brought it up earlier.
Yeah, I've been shocked by it. And look, that'll probably change after they play Texas, right? They'll probably jump right back up to the middle of the pack. But, it's not the Georgia defense or the strength of a Georgia defense that we've seen over their dynastic run. It's been very surprising. They've allowed more points this year, I would say, than just about any year under Kirby Smart. And I have to imagine it's because they don't have a Jalen Walker. They don't have a Jalen Carter in the middle or some of these crazy pass rushers that are just havoc creators from the get-go. Their linebackers are very talented, but they can't rush the passer to the Georgia level that we've seen. And as we just talked about, it's pretty bottom of the barrel in the SEC.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. But you're right. For Texas, Kentucky was not a great pass rushing team, and neither was Florida at the time.
Neither was Florida.
Jalen with a super chat. I do not see the question, Jalen, but I appreciate the super. We appreciate the super chat.
Absolutely.
very much. Justin here with a super chat. Justin says, bring back the Quinn offense. Arch looked more comfortable than all the year with the scheme change. Make offense fun again, but at the same time, just win, baby. Yeah, I mean, I'm at this point. I love the last part there, Justin. Just win. So at this point, you got a really good defense, and your special teams is really good too. So you can win the hidden yardage battle on special teams, and you can win the defensive battle because your defense is one of the best in the country. So you still can win a lot of games. Your offense, and by the way, your offense did help you in that regard in terms of penalties. You only had 2 penalties in the game, right? So fewer penalties in the game. That's really good for Texas.
No turnovers.
Yeah, and no turnover. So that's really 2 of the main things you have to do offensively. If you want to play complementary football and your offense isn't a strength, it can't be a liability either.
Yeah.
But they got to do better staying on the field. They got to do better converting and extending drives. They got to do what Kentucky did to Texas.
Rod, you had some stats earlier. I went down memory lane a little bit. It was pretty ugly. I tweeted the 6 games, I think, since 2010, Texas has had the shortest amount of time of possession.
Oh, man.
This morning.
Oh, no.
And I was talking to Jeff Howe at the press conference this morning.
Oh, no.
I must not have remembered how ugly the 2015 Rice game was.
Oh, yeah. I do
Texas won 42-28.
Yeah.
Adajay Johnson, punt return. I think Malik Jefferson had a scoop and score. They had 15 minutes and some change of time of possession.
It was just big plays.
Yeah, I think they had a 2-play, 80-yard touchdown drive in there as well. But this Kentucky game was the third fewest amount of time Texas has had offensively on the field. And, hey, credit to the defense because that's a lot of time. And there are some ugly games in this one.
Damn. That's the last 15 years. Wow. I mean, and you see there's only 2 wins in there. And
all around the same time frame, 2013, 14, 15. Not a lot of good football being played around. And
only 1 win over a Power 4 program.
Yeah.
You got that win over Rice. So it's hard to beat a Power 4 program when you don't have the ball, pretty much.
Which, again, credit to the Texas defense.
Yeah, no, that was a remarkable win. I just gave you stats. Only of the 31 worst, if you're looking at EPA efficiency per play, of the 31 worst performances this year, is the only win.
Mm-hmm.
So it is one of the most unlikely wins you could ever see for a football team. So we do have to give them credit for that. You're supposed to lose that game, but they found a way to win that game. I'll give them credit. And great stat there, CJ. Damn, it's an ugly stat, but it's a damn good one. All right, Lonnie with a super chat says, do you think it's the amount of press Arch's getting and the bad press that's getting in Arch's head? He says he turns off the phone. He turns off the notifications and everything. I believe him, by the way, because
I do too.
He's not really on social media that much anyway.
Yeah, unless he's posting for Warby Parker or Red Bull or Uber or something, he's not really in tune with the social media side of things. And it was funny. He said, "Yeah, people tell me all the time to tune out all the outside noise." He probably had 100 messages, so it must have been really loud, and it was. But I don't think it gets to him.
Yeah, I don't think that's it. I think it's the pressure he puts on himself.
I agree.
And so I've known a celebrity quarterback or 2 in my time, and I think it's more the pressure he's putting on himself right now. And what I said, people talk about last year. Remember last year, no pressure.
Yeah,
came in no pressure at all. Really came as a backup. It was just him kind of free balling, if you will, not balling out. That's what I mean by free balling.
Playing free and balling.
He may have been free balling. I don't know. If he was, go back to it. So I don't know if he was commando or not. My point is he played in a much more freer spirit. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So, there you go. All right. That's probably Matthew. Don't take that and make some gift out of it. All right. Let's get to it. How about Christian here says, I'm trying to be optimistic here. If you look at the 2021 season, Texas had a better offense, but the defense couldn't stop a cold. 2025 is the opposite. I brought that up, Christian, but think about it. 2021, they had an identity. What's the identity? Put some Bijan on it with a side of Rojo. Done. Right? You kind of learned what you were on offense. It was like, and then you need a big play, X-Man.
Mm-hmm.
X-Man's your big play guy, but your offensive identity was put some Bijan on it. And Bijan was all you really needed because every run concept worked with Bijan. The power worked, the outside zone worked, the inside zone worked, the inside power worked, the counter worked. Everything works with Bijan and Rojo.
Yeah.
And then everything, I think Jonathan Brooks was pretty good, but he's more outside zone guy. And then last year you were strictly with a lot of outside zone guys. And now you don't, and the subject back was your only guy that can really run your power concepts. And now you don't have a back that can do everything like Bijan. That's why Bijan was great. There's nothing he couldn't do.
He mastered your deficiencies. And to your point, you don't have a guy right now that can do it consistently. You can get spurts out of it. Trey Wisner's 37-yard run against Oklahoma was a great example of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it in spurts, but you probably can't get it consistently, especially when you don't have as much running room as maybe you did with 4 or 5 offensive linemen that went and played in the NFL.
Yep, there's no doubt about it. All right, let's thank our last sponsor of the evening before we move on. Let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge. We appreciate our friends over at South Point Dodge. You can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge right now, folks, has over 600 vehicles in stock, including the all-new Ram 1500, 2025 Ram 1500. You can get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing with our friends over at South Point Dodge. That's their fancy way of saying you pay what the employees pay. You get the employee discount over at South Point Dodge. You won't find a better deal than that. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Go see them off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go to southpointdodge.com. So go to southpointdodge.com, whether you need a car, truck, trade in, something new, something used. Our friends at South Point Dodge pride themselves on being Austin's automotive everything. Go to southpointdodge.com. All right, a couple more super chats before we end things. Dad Tired says, just me, our Sark values subversion over production. Oh, man.
Good question.
That's deep. That's deep. I think Sark had an idea about what he wanted his offense to be prior to the season.
Yeah.
I think he had a vision for it, and I think he's modifying the offense. I mean, he has modified it somewhat in the Oklahoma game, the second part of that game, and in this game. I mean, think about the deep balls alone. What do you have? Like, was that one deep pass in this game?
One deep pass.
Oklahoma game, I think, in terms of, they said you're at a couple of passes.
They said he had 3. It didn't feel like 3.
Yeah, exactly. But no deep bombs down the field, right? And he took the points. You brought that up. See, he was taking the points. I think he understands now what they are. And he literally said in the press conference today, he said the offense is going to look different. Oh, y'all, the media going to have to call him out if the offense don't look different. He said you're going to notice the offense and how different it looks based on now he understands what the strengths of the team are. So I think it will look different. And it may be boring for y'all. Y'all may not like it.
Boring works.
Yeah, it's just like 4 yards. 3 yards, 4 yards, 3, 4, 5 yards. Like, that's maybe the offense, but as long as it keeps them on the field and they can extend drives and keep the defense fresh, because the defense is the tip of the spear now. Defense is going to win you games. The special team is going to win you games. Your offense, don't screw it up at this point. Right. Just don't screw it up. I think that's where we are, unfortunately. Give me boring, dear God. Yeah, let's go. Give me boring. Remember, Chris Rock had a great skit. I'll be quick here because I know we got to get to end things. He had a great skit. He says, that everybody wants like these really cool relationships. But he said the best relationships are boring ones. Nothing happens, but we just gonna watch Netflix. We're gonna go to dinner and we go to eat. We kind of do the same thing. We got a nice little routine. He said the most entertaining relationships are bad ones. Right? You don't know what the hell is going to happen from day to day. She's going to slash your damn tires. You don't know if y'all going to get into a fight in the middle of the restaurant and she's going to walk out on you. You might end, you know what I mean? Like just crazy, wild stuff. You're like, yeah, but it's entertaining and it's wild and it's unpredictable. But I ain't going to lie. Sometimes I just want the boring relationship where I know every day what to expect. And I know my clothes won't be burning in the front yard or something wild happening. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't deal with that kind of crazy. So I feel you. I want boring with this Texas offense right now. Week to week right now, I don't know if my tires don't get slashed with Texas offense. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's how you end up on a reality TV show is with all those crazy exotics.
Exactly. She's gonna poop on my bed. Like what Johnny Depp had to deal with that crazy. Yeah, exactly. I don't need all that, man. I don't need that. All right, that's the hot to crazy ratio. Now they're free balling. Yes, we got to get out of here before I go too off the rails. Greg with the last super chat of the day says, "Cheers, y'all. Appreciate your guys' work and the rest of the OTF crew as always. Now, thank you, Greg. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you guys for helping us build this on Texas community. And also thanks to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP, twisting and tweaking the dials. Thank you, CJ, as well, man. Great stuff as always. We also appreciate Stevie Lee. We got Triple D, super sticker. Appreciate
That's pretty cool.
Appreciate that, baby. Appreciate you. Sorry, I missed that super chat. If we miss any of your questions, please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning, 8:15. Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Also, tomorrow we'll have your Tuesday night live stream. There will be CJ Vogel, Jeff Howe, and the wickedly talented Amanda Atwell will be on that live stream for you as well. And thanks to each and every one of you for joining. Appreciate all of you guys. For CJ and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.